Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me, no.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experience. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we'll play for you. This night's offering is a continuation of our game of Lovecraftesque. To learn how we generate stories playing games from Lovecraftesque, go check out our Lovecraftesque Rules Primer. Lovecraftesque is put out by Black Armada and designed by Joshua Fox and Becky Annison. All right, our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me,
Ken Breeze.
and returning.
James Mendez Hodes, what's good?
We're in the midst of a horror in a futuristic dystopian cyber world. So
Cyber sewer.
Yeah.
we have beat Theremin. They are a locksmith, a technician in the world, and they are just exploring the horrors. Go check out the previous episode to see where we left off. We're going to roll right into our second set of scenes, into part 2.
You're in your supervisor's office.
Oh, crap.
Charles Francis is your supervisor.
Okay.
Is boring and frustrating. Also seems to believe in the rules the same way that you believe in the rules, but something about seeing it in another human being. It's like you can see everything that's frustrating about yourself, plus obnoxious smelly cigars, which are definitely not regulation. In contrast to the last scene, we have a room lit by a harsh fluorescent light, a desk made of particle board, your supervisor sitting behind it. They always seem to have a slightly different facial hair arrangement that's a new kind of singularly unflattering to them. Obviously, you're in no position to suggest anything else. All right, so what happened next, Beat? So there was the big white room, and before that, there was the round room.
Something is just going wrong down there, Francis. It could be a danger to so many. My family lives in Warren Station. So many families live there. There could be fungal explosions, spreads of different toxins.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what the hell is happening with the water down there.
Yeah,
And
sure,
then
sure.
I found this weird item down there that has these words in it.
Okay, describe. Do you have it?
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay, give me that.
I should probably hang on to it.
Give me the thing.
Well, I can show it to you. See, have you seen one of these before?
Snatches it out of your hand.
That's when I'll play my card.
Nice.
Instant effect. Play this during a part 1 or 2 to take over as narrator if you weren't already. So I'm going to take over. It'll revert back to you.
Okay.
And I will reveal a clue that cannot be explained rationally.
Ooh, yeah, I'm pissed. Like, as it gets snatched out of my hands, I feel like something has been taken from me that I need.
This rage fills you, and you can't escape it.
Yeah.
And in fact, like your vision goes, and your ears roar with anger, and that roar becomes this wash of water. Your teeth, you can feel them clenching, almost cracking. You stand at the prow of your ship. You look at your hand, and there's a massive metal tine that matches that illustration from the book. And you stand there in the midst of the sea. With
I
the sun.
plunge it into the sea creature that is in front of me, obviously.
You flash out the stabbing of this thing, flashing to like this violence you're committed. It actually washes your rage away.
Yeah.
And then you come to like white knuckling the chair of this desk. And the supervisor looks back at you and
What the hell's wrong with you?
yeah. And hands you back the
Take it meekly. I think I might be under the weather.
as you go to take it, you don't like, again, you're kind of shaky and the book falls at your feet. And your supervisor doesn't see this, but an illustration you had seen before is no longer of this like haggard bearded captain on the prow of a ship. It is an image of you
Yeah.
illustrated in this
Yeah.
etched style standing on the prow of this ship. The page turns in some wind and your supervisor gains your attention again. But that's another clue that we're going to throw out there is the
That I'm in the book.
the changed
The
etching.
changed etching.
Yeah.
Cool. So continue your scene. I cede it back to you, narrator.
Charles Francis looks down. He says to the door, lock. The door locks. He says to the monitoring device on his desk, off the record. A light on it winks off. He sits back down, stares at you.
Francis, I think I am ill. Think by section 3.2, paragraph 5.
Yeah, whatever, Beat. Listen. Okay, you do you see the problem with that thing on the ground?
I can't say that I
Do you see the issue with... Do you see why we might not have those here?
An antique? I'm not sure what you mean.
It's a bunch of dead material with words printed on it, right?
That's what it looks like, yes.
And do you know what the problem might be with that?
I really can't. I'm sorry. My mind must
It's
be
not
foggy.
networked. Imagine a book that the author, the source, the publisher couldn't get in and monitor and change. A book that just stayed the same.
Sounds terrible. Yes, sounds like quite the problem.
So if the book turned out to be dangerous for some reason, if the book turned out to, cause subversive or violent behavior, and people just had it, what would happen?
Do you think this book is going to turn someone violent?
Well, I don't know. Do you? And he looks kind of leans over the desk and looks directly into your eyes in a way that says, yes. Yes, he does.
Beat is very paranoid at this point about what is happening with our supervisor, especially since they just had this very violent vision. Beat is very standoffish and a little bit more guarded. Says, I guess I can take care of it. I can make sure that no one else sees this.
Okay. Great. So just set it on fire.
Yep, will do.
Are you gonna...
What, in here? No, I don't want to just get smoke in here. And
Is there some reason why you don't want to...
well, I want to make sure that it's not on the net. If it's not, I'll scan it in.
What? Do you realize what would happen to Warren Station, to you, to me, if someone found out we had that thing?
I really don't see what the problem is.
A book that can't be hacked.
Well,
book
we're
that
not
can't be
going to have it
changed.
because we're going to destroy it. Remember? We already agreed upon that. I'll go take care of that.
Where do you go?
Or I go somewhere private so I can look at this book if there's an illustration of me in it.
All right. Where would you go for privacy?
My office.
Beat has hanging on the wall
Uh-huh.
3 successive locksmith of the month
Mm-hmm.
framed little certificates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One wall is pegboard with like sort of mag latch attachments and all these array of tools set along the wall, like just one wall of tools, all aligned. Everything is pristine. This office looks like someone just made it and equipped it. Like like no one goes in here. You like it this way. You are meticulous and clean in this.
and I come in and I lock the doors and turn off the monitoring devices. I begin to read through the book. I turn to the illustration that showed me and start to read about what that says.
So the caption to the picture, turn to page 302. Page 302 has 2 words on it, just repeated over and over, beginning to end. Hello, comma, space, beat, period.
I think that we are back at the Mega Club. The Mega Club has been shut down, or most of it has. Some of the smaller clubs on the outskirts are still open, but most of it has been shut down because of the health hazards, or at least that's what the story is that there's some sort of fungal growth and that people were inhaling things and getting sick. Pretty shortly thereafter, our last scene, Beat is here by themselves. They have read more in this book and come to the conclusion that the figure in the book is some sort of hunter, and that hunter is hunting some sort of fishy creature. There's maybe some sort of tie between this fungus and this fishy creature. Beat has come here to do another sweep to try and find this mutant creature, or whatever this thing is that is spreading this disease. Beat has been going through these empty clubs. They're all empty, and there's no one here. There's just this weird feeling in Beat's mind that they can't let go of this like image of this scaled fish, this gaping maw of this fish.
So the fish is in Beat's head. He's got this image, and he flashes again to the illustration on the wall, and so he draws him deeper into the club to the pond, which is this like kind of lazy river. Like there's a bar in the middle of a pool, and it's also stocked with fish, so you can sit and fish and drink beer, and also like lazy river in this circle inside this club.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's called the pool. It's part of the warehouse. It's one of these location rooms, and this is where he like had gone fishing with his son. He's like, this is it.
This place has been shut down too, except for emergency lights, either red or white. The lights and the sound system kick on. And what are they playing? What's
It starts out as static.
Beat is taken aback by this like immediate sensory blast.
It resolves into an audible signal, but it's not music. It's a book. Someone reading out an audiobook.
It sounds like 2 people reading a book in unison, which is sort of weird. It's like this warbling sort of tone. And as Beat listens more and more closely, they realize that the 2 voices are the voices of their children reading this really weird, almost rhyming stanza. And it's static, then goes off again as a voice, very monotone, starts to go, almost like to the beat. Goes, hello, Beat, hello, Beat, hello, Beat, hello, Beat.
This is beyond the pale. They look around for the speaker system controls and for the panel so they can override the sound in this space.
Beat is not sound tech. Where would all this control room be in this Lazy Susan, Lazy River club area?
There's a DJ booth.
Under a cabana.
It's got like a tiki motif. Yeah, little, torches and ridiculous masks and all types of other cultural conflation. You can find the off switch. I think when you unplug things, the sound isn't coming from the actual speakers.
Begins looking pretty frantically for the source of this sound, looking for where it's coming from. Starting to yell, I've got to find, there's got to be a way to stop this. Not just to vent frustration, but just to also try to drown this sound out. I mean, it's a challenge once to try to source out the sound and find it.
Going to the DJ booth, you come upon a DJ, and they are in the fetal position on the ground, shivering. They obviously have soiled themselves. They are completely terrified.
Hey, buddy, hey, are you okay? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
How do I stop this?
The DJ reaches up. They grab onto your arm, right above the wrist, and you realize that they haven't actually soiled themselves. They're covered in spores.
Ooh.
Yep, Beat pulls back just
Yeah.
just before contact can be made. Like as the hand starts to close around his bracer, he pulls away abruptly and goes, "The hell's wrong? Oh my God, what's wrong with you?"
The DJ falls back. They reach up and they're trying to take off their headphones and they can't. The fungal growth is kind of like fusing the headphones to their head. The spores are just growing faster and they seem to be solidifying. You can see that the chitin that makes up these mushroom bloom things is starting to like harden
Yeah,
into
like
scales.
plates or scales.
Yeah.
This DJ is sort of like solidifying, almost petrifying in front of you, sort of reaching out at Beat.
Beat turns and rushes to the door.
Again, you hear the sound that you heard before from far away, this that seems to permeate the entire Lazy Susan club that you're in. Something is here. I think the clue
I think
was
the
the
DJ
was the
counts as the
DJ
clue.
solidifying into
Mushroom-covered DJ.
Covered DJ. Yeah.
So Beat has stumbled out of this space, out of the warehouse, like to escape the sound again. Ears covered, almost like eyes shut against the horror, has found themselves stumbling again into the like exo corridor along the edges of the building. The silence again, knowing of disconnection and the sounds of like the whistling wind. And actually, it's something like the fresh air of the outside city, something that you'd never thought of as like clean air to breathe, pulsing in is like a wash of cold water.
Yeah, it's
over
giving
your
you a lot
face.
of relief. It's cooling you. It seems to bring a little bit more sanity back to your fevered mind. You do realize you are still clutching this tome. You're feeling more in your right senses than you have in some
But
time.
you find yourself in the exo corridors and free of the horrors you just witnessed.
All right. I call my kids.
So initially there's static, and again because you have signals, you have trouble getting in. As you're wandering, trying to catch signal, there's actually like snatches of noise. Beat.
Hey, hey. Can you hear me?
Hey. And it's cutting in and out. You start to like there. You hear them saying, "Beat, we can't hear you well," and you're triangulating this sound as you continue to sort of wander blindly through these exo corridors. And but the sound becomes clear. You start to like the conversation is becoming clearer as you get into an area, and you hear, "Is that you?"
Yeah, it's me. Listen, Liangshi, George, I don't feel well.
Can you gotta? We're in a bit of. I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think I'm in trouble too. What's going on with you?
Can you help? And the signal cuts out, and you find yourself standing in front of in the exit corridor, in front of a fractured bit of drywall with light filtering into a porcelain-lined room.
Does it look familiar?
Oh, yes, it looks familiar.
I go in. I'm gonna go back to that door.
Yeah, you step closer and closer to that door, and your hand reaches for it, and
the lock.
the knob just turns.
Yeah.
And that's where our scene will end as you pushed
enter in.
You're being pushed towards. So we're just going to take turns, short chunks at a time.
I'm beat, and I'm sending a message to my kids, and I don't know if they're gonna receive it, but I can't hear them, so I just leave a little message, which I say, "Listen, I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you can. If not, maybe someone will find this on my suit, but I don't feel well. I think I got hacked. If this doesn't go well, I love you and I'm proud of you, and I hope there's something left, even if there's nothing left of me after this."
As Beat gives this heartfelt goodbye to their children. They push in this door, and it is a crazy scene before you. Lining the walls are shelves and shelves of jars that have human heads in them that seem to have been preserved over time. Additionally, it almost looks like a spotlight that's coming up out of the ground. It seems like the light inside it has like sparkling glitter in it or something like that. But what is most sort of freaky is that there's this half fish, half humanoid creature that seems to be stuck in this bright circle, as if it has sort of like this bottom feeder sort of head, like suckage, like
a
big,
like a plecostomus.
yeah, exactly. But it's like the tail comes out almost like a ponytail, but it's like huge and like goes down to the small of its back. So it's sort of like this human creature, but with this big fish
Like you just
head.
put a whole fish on the human as its head.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's connected to its back, so it connects with its tail, with its spine. So there is an actual big tail that sort of comes out of its rear as well, almost like a salamander.
And that's
sort of.
standing in front of him.
Back is actually to the door, and it seems to be looking more towards this darkness at the far side of the room.
Beat walks forward, is drawn to this something in the darkness beyond this fish creature thing. And as Beat gets closer and closer, they see themselves approaching from the front, like from in the darkness. And the fish creature starts and turns and looks at Beat in horror and begins to scream.
After a little while, the fish creature stumbles and falls to the ground on their side, and they look up Beat and other Beat, and they say, "Please don't come closer. I just don't. Please don't hurt me."
Beat says, "Why do you think I would hurt you? You seem like you're in pain and you need help. Come with me. I'll get you out of here."
Yeah, the fish creature pulls back and pulls itself up and begins rushing with the darkness to one side, with Beat watching it from the darkness, and Beat almost like some sort of mirror made of darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
And rushes off towards down this corridor that twists.
Beat looks over towards Beat Prime and realizes that Beat Prime looks like them, but there are some changes. Their outfit is much more ragged, like those tubes from the beginning. They have, I guess, like a different arrangement of cybernetic parts. They're holding this old, rusty harpoon. Beat with the harpoon looks at regular Beat, cocks their head towards the way the fish creature went, turns and lowers the harpoon.
Saying in this unkind voice, "You must hunt it. You must destroy it. It's been summoned by fools, and its bite will spread what you fear."
Hearing their own voice that is gruff and from this thing that is other, that is not them, begins to back away and it rushes in the only open direction now, which is where that creature did come from.
As they continue in that direction, the shelves turn from the skull jars back to these physical books made of dead animal and plant parts. A lot of them are moldy and covered with weird fungus. It's as if the books and the fungus are fighting for space on the shelves.
Beat is trying to grasp onto something stable here. They are their mind is quickly spinning out of like rational anchor points. There isn't, it's like, what's happening? The only thing that is physical is this fish creature that they saw. So I think they do go after it if they can bring this creature back to Charles Francis, their boss. I mean, this can all get figured out. The tome that they're holding, though, in their hand, Moby Dick, it's almost smoking at this point. Like there's this like steam that's sort of coming out of between the pages, billowing around them, as if this tome has this power or this sentience.
As they get closer to the pool of light in the center of these stacks and stacks of honeycombed shelves, they stop, and the lights are actually these lit waxen candles on the floor. And all around are drawn diagrams, and tacked around are pictures of Beat and the illustration that his child had done. And there's a floating in the center of this space is this orb of light with sinewy tendrils coming out of it. And you see the fish creature trying to climb into this orb of light. This is reaching the horror, right?
Yep.
So
we have reached the horror.
So we aren't explaining the horror
No.
yet, but Beat stands in this room that is akin to the shelf room. It's moldering and moldy. Diagram drawn on the ground in stones and bits of metal with candles lighting it. And then this ball of light in the center that crackles with energy that has a physical material, like almost like intestines or something hanging out of it.
Yeah, like
And they watch as the fish disappears into this light climbing up. The last they had seen of it was this sort of glance back in fear, if you could read the expression of this fish. This is it, the final horror. I mean, I have a concept, but I can just as easily say it at the end of what I think has happened. Time passes as they were flipping through the tome, which is now evaporated in their hand and been drawn into this sphere.
Yeah.
The time has fluidly moved past Beat. Yes, and when it sort of awakens, they're closer. The sphere is now lower. They are mere inches. Their face is mere inches away from the surface of this thing. They could almost touch it.
I look around for the other Beat with the harpoon.
Non-extant. You don't see any. In fact, this scene, the arches are gone. The shelves are now just smooth wood. All the books have evaporated away, and now it's just like you're in a cylinder of wood with a wooden floor and nothing but darkness above you in this sphere of light, of energy, of something in front of you.
Hello? Is someone... Can anything hear me?
Yeah, your words touch it and it ripples like it's made of like a sphere of water or mercury.
Are you alive? Are you reacting to me? Can I tell if it's like just reacting to the sound
it's almost
itself?
as if it's silently repeating back what you said. There's an offset, but it's just these ripples, almost like your sound waves made slow and real.
I step back. If I put my hand out, do I feel anything if I reach close?
You put your hand to touch the thing, and you're gone.
Ah!
But there's a realization that you have touched something outside of yourself, but something that is where you come from. And there's this horrifying crashing realization that your world, our reality, is the construct of a massive extra-dimensional series of what you can only comprehend as computers. And that you and this reality is a simulation. Like you gain these realizations, it starts to click back that this thing that you saw, this fish creature thing, was a participant, a player in entertainment that your entire existence is built to be. These creatures have watched on these pools of darkness you going through this adventure, and that you've done it over and over again and with different outcomes,
Okay.
and that there are slight adjustments, and you start to remember your other selves, and your mind begins to fragment as you recognize these other paths that you had followed.
Okay.
But then there's a crash of consciousness and
Information.
a blast back, and it all goes dark when you realize that you're the first and only one to touch this programming. You have done something unique, and that's the end of the horror. This your mind goes. You have sudden realizations. Your mind goes blank. What happens? To
I
the
think
witness?
I think the witness is subsumed within this hungry sentience, this ball of energy. The witness was foolhardy to interact with it, and has been recalled, transported to wherever this energy makes its home. Whether that's where the witness came from originally or not, unclear, but they are definitely going back there, and going back there is not going to be good. That they are alive outside the simulation, exactly. Yeah. And I think that they realize that they were only in the simulation to act on behalf of the simulation by trying to destroy this fish thing and like figure all this stuff out. Almost like a security program.
That's a crazy story. Why don't, before we wrap everything up, why don't we go through sort of our path of like what we thought had happened?
Leaping to
Since you kind of know mine, I'll just go real quick.
Let's
through
hear
mine.
it.
So when we saw the shoes, I thought maybe like a psychotropic drug that turns people into like a mass mind of like slime, like kind of gray slime, but with like a weird like central. Then maybe it's like it was derived. It's like derived from a beast in the depths of this world or something. Then when we get to the lock, maybe like a group of historians has evoked this creature to restore the past, like they're antiquarians. They want then to the fish pipe, that like beings from another dimension are entering ours and reshaping our reality and leaving these like weird traces. Like, so it's like a overlay kind of thing that's destroying our reality by like sliming people and like leaving these traces. Then the orange eggs, that there have been like maybe experiments in genetics that have gone awry, and this new horrible intelligence is growing in the depths of the Warren. The Moby Dick one kind of goes back to like these sort of mad antiquarians who worship a whale god and are trying to evoke it, like basically mishmashing extra dimensional like magics with like fiction to evoke some things that they don't understand, and that's like and these are showing up. Then the etching, that's when I started to like, there's like a game that maybe because someone had mentioned like that there was a game with the door that like this game was coming to life around him. So it was like like virtual reality was becoming actual reality,
Right.
And that his kids were playing with him or something as this agent of the game. Then it was the Hello beat. So then it was that's where I was like, okay, they're probably the avatar in an extra dimensional game.
Right.
And Mushroom DJ, that's where I got to like the code is corrupting the world. So it's like an extra dimensional virus as well. So it's like this game from played by extra dimensional beings is corrupting the world.
That's cool.
So when I saw the high heel, I was kind of starting from the position of clothes or consumer goods, which maybe can hack you.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So because I was thinking like, so what makes a high heel dangerous to a person?
Right.
And I guess if you're network, you got all these bionics and so forth, then maybe that's the threat. And then I started playing with the idea that it was something that might be self-aware, like a self-aware AR game, maybe a self-aware AI, an art project that had an AI that became self-aware and became dangerous. We saw those the Ikara-looking things, and I like the idea that there was an enemy, there was an opposition between things that we'd had. So then I started working with the idea of Like maybe the fungus and fish stuff was an opposition to some other force, right? Like they hatch into like guard creatures which keep the pipes clear or something. And then we got to the books. All right, so I needed a reason why Beat didn't recognize the books, a reason why Beat wouldn't recognize the books. So then I started thinking about like, well, maybe books are illegal because you can't hack them.
Yeah, that was interesting when you brought that up.
Yeah, like everything else is networked here, and maybe in this society, it's the idea of something that isn't networked is scary and dangerous and like subversive, but it's also like it's just not part of their paradigm.
Right. That's where like I played that key of like him holding the book let him get into this part of the chamber that it's like code.
Right.
Yeah.
Like written. This is like written code.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else is simulation.
Right. So now the book is hacking him, or them rather, essentially. So now there's this opposition between the books is like between analog and digital, and like maybe the fungus is the biological signifiers that we're seeing are in opposition to the analog stuff because that's vulnerable to them or something like that. But then I felt like I was starting to lose the thread at that point.
Yeah. That's kind of cool, though. I like that.
Thank you.
Mine was very straightforward since I had like the beast thing. I definitely leaned into that. The shoe was a vicious creature's saliva. This creature was evoked on the dance floor to deal with the true horror. It was the enemy of the true horror. The antique lock protected the sanctuary of the true horror. The pipe leads to unholy sanctum of worship. That's what I thought. If you went through that pipe, you'd find something terrible. The spore, the orange stuff, that was the summoned creatures, the fish creatures, on the trail of the true horror as we were on the trail of the summoned creature. The tome is a secret tome that the cult of this evil horror, the true horror. Then the illustration was basically the illustration of Beat was hunting this fish creature who was hunting the true horror. So it turned out that Beat was sort of becoming this agent of the true horror. And then the Hello Beat hat thing happened. And I basically was just like, this book that Beat has, this Moby Dick book is just sentient and evil and powerful. And that's what's happening there. And then lastly, Fungi DJ is what happens when the fish creature bites you.
With that, our story ends. We will continue with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. Ken, where can people find you?
Find me, Board Ghost, at Berlingsbeard, BERLINGS, on Twitter and at my website of the same name.
And I'm James Mendez Hodes. You can find me on the internet at jamesmendezhodes.com, on Twitter at Lula Vampiro.
All right. And you recently had a successful Kickstarter.
Yes.
And you guys are in the works on that. What was that called?
Yes, that's a tabletop role-playing game, a hack of Vince and Meg Baker's Apocalypse World. The game is called Thousand Arrows, and it is a game of samurai drama and tragedy in the Japanese Warring States period.
All right.
Awesome.
And we'll have links to that on boardghost.com. You can get information about all our players and all that cool stuff. And you can also go check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/boardghost. So we'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Dying, don't agree with me.